What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Justin Gaethje predicts Dustin Poirier vs Islam Makhachev. Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway certainly delivered when they squared off in the BMF title fight at UFC 300 last week. The bout was picked by many fans and media members as a lock to be the fight of the night, and sure enough, both fighters won a $300K bonus for the performance of the night, while Holloway picked up an extra $300K for a sensational finish right at the death. When the bout was originally announced, many felt that Gaethje was making the wrong move by accepting it, and that he was the most likely contender for a title shot at lightweight champion Islam Makhachev's belt. In the UFC 300 post-fight press conference, Dana White dropped the bombshell that Dustin Poirier will face Makhachev in the main event of UFC 302 on June 1st, giving the impression that they may have been waiting for Gaethje's fight to unfold before finalizing their plans for Makhachev. Gaethje, however, has no regrets about accepting the bout with Holloway. In an interview with MMA Knockout's Matt Riddle this week, he said,
"Crazy game, I think a lot of people would have, in my position, sat out, not taking that fight and, waited for that title fight. But, I have no regrets. I think I had so much fun. I think it was such a huge historic card for the UFC. And to be a part of that, to be the best fight on that card, is going to live on forever, and again, it was a huge risk. I failed. And, if I would have won that fight, if I would have got a, quick knockout, I would have been taking that fight and I would have had that fight. But it's just the name of the game. I'm not.
Next up, Aljamain Sterling makes huge claim. Former UFC bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling made his debut in the featherweight division at UFC 300 and picked up a decision victory over Calvin Kattar in a fight that's been described by many as uninspiring. In a night of wild fights and dramatic finishes, Sterling's grinding performance stood out to many fans as least exciting on the card. Nevertheless, having rewatched the fight, Sterling feels his was one of the most dominant victories at UFC 300. Speaking on his YouTube channel, he said,
"Our fight on that particular night of UFC 300 was not the most entertaining, but it was the most dominant fight I think you could have possibly looked at from the entire card from top to bottom. I think I'm arguably the top three most dominant on that entire fight card."
Sterling also feels that many have underestimated the quality of his opponent, Calvin Kattar.
You got a guy who's on average lands, I think, about 4 or 5 strikes per minute, like significant strikes, who was reduced to about 0.5 or something like that over 15 minutes. A guy who went tooth and nail with Calvin Kattar, a guy that went toe-to-toe with Giga Chikadze, arguably won against Josh Emmett, had a great performance against a guy who's knocking guys out left and right in Dan Ige, knocked out Shane Burgos, TKO'd Andre Fili. Like, his resume of how dangerous he is goes on and on and on.
Fans seem to disagree on social media. It was literally the only performance at UFC 300 you won't go back and rewatch. More dominant than Holloway toying with the best striker in the UFC for 5 rounds, then calling him to the middle and knocking him out? I think not. When Aljo dominated, it was the least entertaining fight of the entire night. He took his technical route, fought well, but made it absolute snooze fest to watch. Enough that I literally took my dog for a walk to drop a steamy load off. Sterling won the 135-pound belt back in 2019 when his opponent Peter Yan was disqualified for an illegal knee. He went on to defend it 3 times against Yan, TJ Dillashaw, and Henry Cejudo, before losing by knockout to Sean O'Malley at UFC 292 last August. Funk Master entered the rankings at number 8 after UFC 300, but it looks like he may need to deliver a more convincing performance next time out if he plans to re-enter the title conversation in his new division. Also in the wake of UFC 300, UFC fighter reacts to new gloves. For many years now, the UFC have been receiving criticism for the quality of their patented fight gloves. Many observers feel that the design of the gloves plays a part in the large amount of eye pokes we see on a regular basis in the octagon. And these concerns were in the headlines again recently after Chris Weidman's controversial victory over Bruno Silva. Justin Gaethje's coach Trevor Whitman appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast a few years back and showcased the gloves he had invented in an effort to combat the eye poke problem. Once the announcement of a UFC equipment update arrived, fans were hoping to see Whitman's glove involved somehow, but were left disappointed. In his recent interview with Matt Riddle, Gaethje spoke about the UFC's new gloves. He said,
We're just happy that the UFC is making those changes. I mean, obviously we would have loved for it to be our gloves, but at the end of the day, the issue was the issue. And the issue was the glove that we were using is very uncomfortable, and it does not promote a comfortable position. And I think that's one of the most important things for us fighters. Imagine, putting the glove on, getting ready for the biggest fight of your life. Your fingertips are going numb, and your hands are just, there's just pain in places that you didn't know that there would be pain. In between your fingers, on the ridges of your knuckles, in between your knuckles. I mean,
Gaethje also feels there isn't a way to completely eradicate eye pokes. He said, "There's never going to be a glove that gets rid of eye pokes, especially with the open finger gloves, because that's just part of what we do." He also stated he has yet to try the new gloves, saying, "I haven't tried the gloves on. I think they might help, but we'll see. You can't know until you put those things on." In other news, Arman Tsarukyan makes huge mistake. Michael Chandler believes Arman Tsarukyan was wrong to turn down a title fight with Islam Makhachev. Tsarukyan revealed he was offered the fight immediately after his victory over Charles Oliveira at UFC 300, but declined the offer as he felt he wouldn't have enough time to recover between fights. Dustin Poirier was subsequently penciled in to fight Makhachev on June 1st, while Chandler faces Conor McGregor on June 29th. While speaking to Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour last week, Chandler expressed his view that Tsarukyan may have missed the boat.
Arman just went out there, beat Oliveira. Obviously, he sounds like he's going to be number one contender next. I also don't understand why he didn't take that fight. I would have taken it. Man, you don't get crazy. This sport moves fast.
Yeah.
The sport moves very fast. And June 1st, you're going to see the lightweight title happen. And then a couple of weeks later, you're going to see the biggest fight, a fight that's way bigger than that, happen. And both of those guys can make lightweight. So the sport moves fast. So you got to take your opportunities. You got to pounce on them.
Tsarukyan debuted in the UFC in 2019 against Makhachev, losing by decision on short notice, and has won 9 of his 10 fights since. Next, let's take a look at Jamahal Hill reveals next UFC fight. In a rather surprising turn of events, Jamahal Hill already has his next fight lined up, just 6 days after losing to Alex Pereira in the main event at UFC 300. Hill will square off against Khalil Roundtree at UFC 303, which takes place on June 29th at the T-Mobile Arena. Sweet Dreams returned from an injury layoff at 300, only to be knocked out in the first round and snap his 5-fight winning streak. The former lightweight champion seems eager to get straight back to business, however, and couldn't have picked up a more dangerous matchup to do so. Roundtree is on a 5-fight winning streak himself, with 4 knockouts in that run. Rather bizarrely, Hill has been arguing with fans on Facebook, and even called one out saying, "You can pull up to my gym and show me how it's done." In a comment posted on his Instagram, Hill made it clear he's hungry to get a rematch with Poton, and believes he will knock him out if the pair meet again. Already back in the gym with a contract signed, he definitely got to face me again, and I'll put him to sleep. Next up, Ilia Topuria called out in an interview. In the wake of the BMF title fight at UFC 300, it seems Max Holloway is the most likely contender to beat Ilia Topuria's first title defense at 145 pounds. Holloway's sensational knockout of Justin Gaethje seems to have boosted his star power and opened up many exciting options for him both at featherweight and lightweight going forward. Given that Topuria and Holloway have been trading shots on social media, it would be safe to assume that the wheels are in motion for a blockbuster fight between the pair to happen at some point soon. Another fighter eager for a title shot is number 3 ranked featherweight Brian Ortega. T-City got back in the win column with a submission victory over former title challenger Yair Rodriguez back in February, and pleaded his case during an interview with Mike Perry on Campai Media this week.
Yeah, let's get a fight in Spain, man.
I was
I'm not
gonna
against
say,
it, and let's go. If I can snap my fingers and get the contract, and he says yes, and Volkanovski doesn't take that fight because I know he's waiting there, he's in line. There's, you know how it is, man.
Bro,
There's
he got
politics in
knocked
here.
out twice,
So,
bro.
Yeah,
He got knocked
but
out twice.
He, you know what he did. He was a champ for a long time. He got knocked out, and my thing is, if he says no to them trying to rush him to fight, the UFC's got a man right here, and I'm sharp and I'm ready, and everyone knows that there's.
Put that
you don't have
pressure.
I don't think I've seen a boring fight of mine, and I'm not trying to be a salesman, whatever, but I don't get in boring fights.
No, sir.
Either I finish you or you finish me.
Islam Makhachev sends a warning to Dustin Poirier ahead of their fight at UFC 302 in June. Makhachev predicts that if Dustin Poirier tries a guillotine on him, he will take his back and choke him out. Here's what Islam had to say.
10 things. I will take him down. He will try to give him guillotine, and I will take his back and choke him. That's it.
Here are our top comments from last video. Let's not kid yourselves, McGregor's shin break was nasty. Psychologically, he's never been the same. Chandler is gonna smash them legs and make Conor quit. Imagine what Alex would do to Weidman. Masvidal calling out Logan Paul, a true sign of the end. This guy used to be a backyard badass. Now he's calling out YouTubers. What a fall, clinging for cash. Very sad. Patty who? LOL Pimbley? Yikes.